everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty, aka Beth Bookish, and it's Thursday and I'm only just starting weekly reading and life vlog 7. It has been a very, very low spoons week for me. It's taken me 4 days to get the energy to wash my hair, and I've not blow dried it today because I don't have the spoons at all. However, I have noticed when I don't blow dry it, it dries a lot more sort of like curly-ish. I have noticed it dries a lot more like this when I just let it dry naturally. I definitely need to invest in a diffuser. But yeah, it's been a very low spoons week. Saturday, my head started to go a bit fuzzy and I was like, okay, I need to keep an eye on this. Sunday, I went into a small migraine, and Monday, I went into full-blown migraine. Took more sumatriptan in one day than I've had to take in about 8 months, and just basically crashed for the day. Tuesday, even though I was still recovering and still in the migraine, I had to record and edit the Valentine's video that went out yesterday. And then yesterday was basically recovering from said migraine and just trying to let my brain recover a little bit. I played a little bit of video games, but not much. And then last night I started to feel a lot better, so I basically finished editing a couple of videos, and then I've now got 4. I've basically got all the videos, apart from the weekly vlogs, I've got all the videos up to the 23rd or the 24th of February scheduled and ready to go, and there's like 5 videos to come. So I'm very excited for that. And then today, as you can see, I've got Genshin on in the background. Today is just a run around the map, trying areas. I realised, like, if you play Genshin Impact, you'll know what I mean, you'll understand what I'm talking about, but I realised that my monster map is 100% across the board. In Azuma, I think I've only got one more region, that's Watatsumi Island. I've got about 3% left to complete before that's done. But then I looked at Liyue and I was like, how is it I've been playing this game for 3 years and I've still got Liyue on like 94% complete. So my goal for today is to get all of the parts of the Liyue map, not including the chasm and not including the new one that released, but the, like Goyen Stone Forest and all of that. I need to get all of that up to 100 because it's kind of bad that I've not yet. So that's today's plan. I know it sounds like a silly goal, but that's it. The one thing I have done over the past few days, I have not read very much at all because my head has not been in a very good place. I have been watching K-drama again. I kind of had a few months off, but now I'm massively back into it. And I've worked out that my favourite K-dramas are ones that combine romance with action adventure and suspense type stuff. Because so far my favourites have been, my all-time favourite is Healer. Crash Landing on You is a quite close second. And Strong Girl Bong Soon. Those are like my top 3 currently. And one thing I've noticed is all 3 of those have those elements. They have that funny, cutesy, wholesome romance, but then they also have some really super serious plot lines, and it gets quite dark at points. Like, people get kidnapped, people get beaten up. There's always that element of them being in danger, and there is a very, very strong element there of, the protector and touch her and die, and I am here for that. But I will say all 3 of them as well feature female leads that are not sort of, there's been a couple that I've watched where it's been he's the protector and she's just constantly this wimpy little scared thing, whereas in all of these they have their moments where they're scared, but they are strong-willed and can stand up for themselves women. Sometimes that gets them into more trouble than is strictly necessary, but I've realised that those are my favourite types. However, there's actually very, very few K-drama that follow that kind of mixture. I tried Descendants of the Sun, but I found that the main female fell into that category of I just didn't like her, and I feel like she spent more time crying and screaming than she did actually being a decent character. Other ones that I've enjoyed that have a kind of similar vibe, Lawless Lawyer, I really liked that one. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for K-drama that feature those kind of mixes and have similar vibes or give you those kind of intense emotions, oh, Flower of Evil is another one. It's more thriller suspense, but it does have that romance element in, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. And I've been scared to finish it. I then found one that is kind of matches that, which was My Secret Terrius. But yeah, I basically did that. And then for reading, it's been not a lot. Trying to think, have I picked anything up? I have listened to some of my audiobook. I last night was struggling to get to sleep. I didn't want to get back up and do anything, but I also didn't want to just lie up in bed playing games on my phone at like 4 in the morning. Well, I think it was like 2 a.m. at this point. So I got my Sudoku pad out, and I put on my audio of The Dream Thieves, and I listened to an hour and a half of that and then crashed out. So I'm like, I set my goal for 200 hours on audio this year, and I've read about 60 minutes. I've read about 90 minutes in total so far. So I'm doing great. And then City of Stardust by George Summers. I opened it, I read the prologue, which is like 5 pages, and now I can't even tell you where the book even is. Is it even in this room? Is it even in this house? Does it even exist? Is it even real? I don't know. I think it's upstairs in my bedroom on my TBR pile. And I'm pretty sure that was last week. I don't even think that was this week. And that is it for reading. It's not been a great reading week at all. But like I said, I have been very in my head and I've been struggling. It's just been an effort to get out of bed and eat, let alone anything else. So the fact that I've managed to eat every day, the fact that I've managed to still maintain my uploading, and I've still been able to do a little bit of filming, I'm happy and proud of. But yeah, yeah. So like I said, this is probably going to end up being a very short one for me. It might only end up being about 20 minutes long or 15 minutes long, but we shall see. If I have any more reading updates in the week, I will let you know. But for now, I'm going to go back to Genshin. And like I said, I'm going to try and complete 100% on the Liyue maps before I try and then complete Inazuma. Wish me luck. It's currently 9 a.m. Well, 4 minutes to 9. I have been awake since 5:30. No, 6. On one hand, awesome. I'm up early and I got to bed early. On the other hand, not great. I was doing really well yesterday. I felt pretty good, and then I was watching Brittany's reading sprints. When my uncle came down at 4, I started to notice my head was feeling a bit not fantastic, so I was like, cool, take a couple of paracetamol, that'll deal with it. And then I started watching Brittany's reading sprints, and between sort of 5 p.m. and about 8 p.m, I just went from pretty functional, not too bad, bit of a niggling headache, to in bed, severe pain, thought I was going to pass out, and yeah. But because it got so bad so fast, I wasn't able to get control of it, so I didn't actually end up falling asleep till midnight, or about 12:30. Finally managed to get the pain under control enough to fall asleep, and then I woke up at 5 to 6 this morning with my head hurting, feeling very not great, needed to pee, went to the toilet, thought, great, I'll just come back in, go straight back to sleep. And an hour and a half later, I was still lying there trying to get back to sleep. And my head was getting worse and worse and worse with the effort of trying to fall asleep. So I ended up getting up, taking a sumatriptan, and have just been sat watching TikTok for the past hour. So, not a great start to the day. And I doubt I'm going to get much in the way of reading done. But I do have one reading update since yesterday. I have decided to DNF The Bride of Death, which is one of the arcs that I was wanting to get done this month. I've DNF'd it at sort of 30%. Basically, I really liked the first couple of chapters. Then when her grandmother basically persuades her dad to move her with them so she's near proper society and all of this, and it just kind of dropped from there. And it was things like, we know from the blurb that there was, what was his name? I'm reading it as Chelik because it's the C with the little, like, looks like a 5, which I remember being like a ch sound, so I'm going to say Chelik. But her friend Chelik, she meets him, and then it's kind of like 3 pages later they're grown up and in love and stuff. And I just felt that it was very, very, very jumpy. And there was a lot of telling, not showing. With everything, we were being told that they grew up being best friend and became best friends. It's like, well, I'd rather have spent a couple of chapters getting more from that. And then it was just sort of like, oh, I'm in love with him. And it's like, but again, we kind of just, you were 12 or 11 and just meeting like 3 pages ago, and now you're in love and adults. So I would have liked a little bit more of that early development from them, and because I felt like I didn't really get an emotional connection or a connection between them as romantic partners before we were thrown into the plot. And it was just very, very sudden. It was just sort of like, oh yeah, we've just met him and now boom, he's now this. And I did not like the pacing of this at all. It just felt everything was so sudden and just, like I said, so much telling without showing. So I read part 1 and it was okay. But I did notice I was starting to not enjoy it as much. And then I read the first like little bit where they move into the underworld, and I put it down because my head started to go bad about 4 days ago. And ever since, I've just had no urge whatsoever to pick it up. And one of the things, as I've said this year, that I'm going to do is DNF a lot more rather than try to force myself and put myself into a slump. So yeah, I decided, do you know what? I'm not connecting with these characters. I'm not enjoying the plot. The writing isn't bad. It's just sort of everything else isn't really working for me. So I did decide, I gave it 30%. I got like 100 something pages in, or just under 100 pages in. So yeah, I have decided I'm DNFing that. And then I was like, right, what do I fancy? And at first I was like, I really want to read Darker Than 4. But then I remembered that that's on my TBR for next month. So I was like, okay, I don't want to read that now. Not Darker Than 4, Darker by 4. So I had a quick look through my list at things that are releasing this month. And I found one that was actually did release yesterday. And I was like, I forgot to get to that. So I am going to be reading When Grumpy Met Sunshine, which is like a romance. Although, thinking on it, I could save that and read that for thick thighs. So now I'm going to pick a different one. Let's pick it with you guys now. What have we got? I also got approved for 2 more books on NetGalley yesterday. There's a new one by Claire Pooley, who I've read both of her books so far, People on Platform 5 and The Authenticity Project, and I really enjoyed both. So I was quite surprised when I got an email from Penguin saying, we've seen that you've rated both of these books, so we want to have a free access to the upcoming book. And then Dana Hawkins, who is the author of Not in the Plan that I reviewed last month, She has a second book coming out in March. But I think looking at this, I've got the 20th of February is To Cage a God by Elizabeth May. I'm not really sure if I'm in the mood for that kind of book because I don't know, I'm not sure. I'll try it, I'll start it, and if I don't get on, I fancy something more contemporary, then I think I'll probably read the next one in that series. And I've listened to a tiny little bit of the Raven Boys. Like, I listened to 20 minutes last night. But yeah, you can probably tell I'm not with it. I'm struggling to think and focus. Should probably get something to eat. I also need to order some groceries today to be delivered. I'm just... I'm sick of these migraines.
Oh, you little cutie. What? What do you want? Oh, bum, 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 bum.
It is Saturday, and honestly, I don't feel like this vlog is going to improve any more than it can, because I'm now on day 5 of this current migraine. Last night, I went to bed at 10 p.m. I fell asleep at 12. I woke up at 5 a.m, couldn't get back to sleep. I then fell back asleep around 6:30 in the morning, thinking when I woke up that I'd only been asleep for a couple of hours. I looked at my phone and it had been 9.5 hours. So I basically slept for 14.5 hours in total last night. It helped for a little while, and my head, after 2-3 hours of being awake and up, it's now gone bad. I've tried to eat, I've done all my usuals, and it's just not doing it. Reading is just a ugh right now. And I'm trying to get some bits of work done where I can and apply for new jobs and things like that, but honestly my brain is just so out of it right now, I'm struggling. And as always, no reading. The only update I've got is on Genshin, where I said one of those regions I wanted to get up to 100. I have. Oh, excuse me. But considering my plan had been to get like 4 regions up, 4 areas up to 100%, and in 2 days I've done 1. Just, no. So yeah, I think, fingers crossed, maybe Sunday I will have something. But honestly, I have decided I'm no longer going to do these weekly vlogs in the format that I'm currently doing them, because I have realised on a week like this week, I think this is my first like really bad week I've had since the year started. And I feel like I'm trying to force myself to read when I'm really either not in the mood or not feeling physically well enough to, in order to talk about what I'm reading. And it's like, I don't really want to be picking up my phone and filming, because even right now, looking at this, and where I've had to turn the light on in order to get a good light, it hurts. And I can feel my eyes are starting to squeeze. It's felt like an actual chore to film, and it's felt like I've not been one. I've kind of almost resented my books, because I'm like, I don't want to be reading you right now, but I have to for YouTube. And it's like, no, I'm not putting that pressure on myself. Like I said, from next week, I'm no longer doing these kind of every single week vlogs, because on a good week, I love making them. And like the one that I did last week, where it was the silent vlog, I'm really proud of that and I love how it came out. But on a bad week like this week, just trying to find energy and time to do anything has been very difficult. And like I said, the fact that I slept for 14 hours, that tells me a lot about the state of my body right now, because that's my body telling me it desperately needs the rest. I've only been awake 6 hours now, and I'm already half exhausted and want to go back to bed. So yeah, there's definitely something going on, and I just don't want to feel like I have to pressure myself. Anyway, I've said that like 4 times, so yeah. But as always, no reading update. Okay, it's nearly midnight, calling it for the week. I did read a tiny bit. I've read a chapter of Dark Shade of Magic. I'm rereading it before the series, before I read Threads of Power. And my head today has been reasonably okay. It's not been too stabby. I did need to take a coffee about an hour ago because it started to go bad, and now everything's settled again and I'm feeling a lot better in myself. But yeah, all I've really done today is pick out my themes and my stickers for the next month. March, to me, I've always associated March with green. So for my reading journal, I've got these little tea stickers from Julianne Doodles. So it's just like green tea. And I think they're really, really, really pretty. And then for also Julianne Doodles, I've got these little matcha stickers. And so for my bullet journal, I'm going to do a little matcha green theme. But yeah, that is literally my only update today, because I recorded a TBR for Literature Readathon and Thick Thighs. Literature starts tomorrow. And the plan had been, I recorded it in the early afternoon. I was going to edit and upload it tonight. And then my other uncle turned up out of the blue and stayed for 3 hours. And by the time he left, I was so socially drained from having conversations and everything. I was just like, nah. So I'm going to have to upload and post that tomorrow. And then this vlog will be released on Tuesday. So you'll be watching this on Tuesday, unless you're watching it later. But yeah, that is, as I said, this is the last week that I'm going to do this kind of vlog format. And in future, like I said, it won't be every single week. It will just be as and when I feel like filming a vlog, I will start one. And yeah, I also this afternoon, taking inspiration from G and Becca from Becca and the Books, I pulled out all of the books that were overspilling on my shelves have now been sorted into 4 piles. And I'm going to do a vlog similar to what Becca is currently doing, where I'm going to roll a dice to find out which pile, and then roll a second dice to figure out which book in that pile. And basically it's going to be I'm going to call it, and I've been planning that. I can show you plans from like 2 years ago where I had an idea to do this, and it was called Keep It or Reap It. And so it's basically a case of, the moment I draw it, I either have to start reading it there and then, or it has to go. I can't just choose to skip it. I can't, like with normal books where I mood read, it's a case of no. If I pull this book, if I don't immediately pick it up there and then, the only exception to that is if, like, say I pick up a high fantasy and I am just not in a fantasy mood and I know that I'm not, or if I know I'm not in a romance mood and I pick up a romance, I am allowed to do a swap then, but that is it. So I'm going to probably film the intro. I'm going to probably start one of those in the next couple of weeks. We shall see. But yeah, this is it for this week's vlog and for these weekly vlogs. Thank you if you have been watching them every single week. I really hope you've enjoyed them. But like I said, I've said it multiple times. I don't need to keep saying it. But yeah, you know my reasons for not doing it anymore. And I feel good. So that's the important thing. Now I can just sort of sit back and relax, and only on the weeks where I know I'm doing a theme or a challenge, that's the only weeks that I need to worry about focusing on filming. And yeah, hopefully that will just relax my brain a little bit. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to this week. Did you finish any books? Have you started anything? Are you enjoying your current reads? And yeah, I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. Like and subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I'll see you on the next one.